I'm watching the hockey game. Sorry.
Watching the hockey game.
Which game?
Right now, Arizona and Nashville. Arizona just scored.
Who do you want?
I could care less on that game. I'm waiting for Vegas.
Yeah. Boy, they sure came out in the third period and kicked some ass the other night.
Yeah, that was a good one. Had to get
Who are
reminded.
Who are we talking about? Which team are we talking about?
Vegas, you know.
Vegas.
Oh.
Oh, because both of my teams won. In the
Yeah, you
last
guys hung in
hours.
today.
Calgary won yesterday, and the Panthers won today. So there's nobody from Winnipeg here, is there?
Who's calling?
They wouldn't admit.
Yeah.
No. No. So I have an announcement to
Do me a
make.
favor. Do me a favor, okay?
Who's that?
Lose.
Hey, Mark, quiet.
Lose my phone.
Oh, Mark's yelling at a telephone solicitor. Lose my number.
Sorry.
Or maybe PRG's calling for cross rentals or something.
I'd even take that call right now. Trust me.
Yeah, yeah. So I have an announcement to make. Whole Foods has Snoop Dogg wine on sale for $12.99. It's called Cali Red. And it's terrible, but I had to buy a bottle anyway.
Think it was
any bottle of wine that's got a picture of Snoop on the label at Whole Foods. I mean, that to me is just, you got to buy it. So I saw that earlier today and I was like, that is tonight's wine.
If it's not served,
afford Whole Foods.
if it's not
What's
served in
that?
Bishop Magic Don Juan's chalice, it's hardly worth drinking.
I don't even know what that means.
That's Snoop Dogg's pimp.
Oh, is it?
Oh, you got to look him up. He's got a fantastic green suit.
So,
Oh,
I remember I met that guy. So one time I went to the Super Bowl in San Diego and we were invited as guests to a football game, a high school or some kind of grade school football game between Snoop Dogg's team and Ricky Williams' team. And so you can imagine what it smelled like on that field that day. But so Snoop had the Cadillac there and the guy with the green suit with the, dollar sign necklaces and all
That's
that
Bishop
stuff.
Magic Don Juan.
And I mean, what an experience that was between all of them. It's hilarious. So.
He's an amazing human being. And boy, does he love doing it for the children.
Yeah.
Marcel, I'm surprised that smoke didn't come out of that bottle when you opened it.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting as the cork came out, I thought it was going to go poof,
Yeah,
blow a big smoke ring or something.
But, it's probably one of those bottles that should never be opened, just sort of pass it down from generation to generation.
Did you have an immediate
I'm way too cheap for
desire
that,
for?
if there's-
Did you have an immediate desire for French fries?
Yeah, right, right.
I just had my 30th high school reunion, and I was or Snoop was in my class, and he threw like a big party for all his classmates. It was It was pretty crazy. Yeah, he was super accessible and taking pictures with everybody, and it was a fun night.
So wait, Snoop finished high school?
Yeah, I had him in a couple of classes.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. I didn't think he would have finished.
Please tell
That's
me
impressive.
you with Ice Cube too.
What? No, I didn't go. Not Ice Cube.
Awesome.
Where did you grow up? Like, didn't Snoop go to school in South Central or something?
Long Beach. Yeah, it was pretty rough at that time.
LBC, man.
That's right.
That's so funny. That's funny. So, anyways, I definitely want to get to Michael, who I know a lot of people are here to get some big updates from Mr. Strickland himself. So that's really good. So what I'll do is I wanted to actually bring up another topic. Is anyone from Solotech here? Good, we can talk about them. So I don't know if anyone saw the Solotech Facebook posts today, but I'm in the used gear business, and this isn't self-promotion by any stretch, even though I'm certainly not above self-promotion. I would self-promote all I could, since this is a Zoom call that I set up. But One of the things that I've always worked really hard to do in the used gear business is, whether it's PRG or it's Four Wall or it's Solotech, any of the sort of big monster companies, I've tried to get them from unloading a huge amount of gear all at the same time. And so one time Jerry Harris came to me and said, we need to get rid of 2000 Mac 2000s quickly. What kind of price do I need to put them at? And I'm like, dude, you know, nobody's going to buy 2000 Mac 2000s, and all that's going to do is really destroy the market. So let's put them out 200 or 300 at a time, and over a period of a couple months, maybe we'll sell 2000. And so that's one thing, is just, you know, the massive list of gear can be very harmful. And then second is price. You know, not that everyone doesn't love a good deal, but if somebody puts out something that's going today, like let's say the Grand MA2, which is still holding a price of somewhere just under $20,000. Let's say somebody puts out 100 of them at $10,000 each. That's just going to screw up the whole market for Grand MA2 consoles.
Well,
You're
it
never gonna
screws,
get them
it
back
screws up,
to-
it screws up the rental market too, because now there's no incentive for anyone to put them out at a
it
price.
destroys so many things.
Goes all the way down the
So
line.
honestly, I mean, for us, as what some people call a broker, the easiest thing to do is just to say, great, we can sell MA2s all day long at $10,000 each. That's awesome. But we don't want to do that. We want to hold them at 17 or 18,000 because that's got longevity and that's good for the market. And so what happened today is, actually, I don't know if Corey's on the call right now, but Corey Easterbrook sent me a message saying, I'm sure you know about this this Solotech liquidation list. And I said, no, I don't. Why? What's going on? And he sent me a link to this Facebook post, which is now down, by the way. It's gone. They've taken it down. But there was a Facebook post with $123 million in inventory being listed from Solotech. And so I reached out to someone at Solotech, whose name I will not mention.
I totally
just
pooped
said-
my pants, by the way. Totally pooped my pants.
Well, I poop my pants. I'm in the used equipment business, and I poop my pants because $123 million in listings, if they're priced below market, is going to screw the market for a long time. It's going to make just all kinds of weird shit happen. It's going to hurt manufacturers. It's going to hurt rental companies, as John said. It's going to hurt the used equipment business, and it's going to hurt Solotech, you know, because they're selling below market value for the most part. When you put out that much gear, it has to be below market value to get that kind of action going from it. So I reached out and I said, what's going on? And they said, we're basically putting up for sale all of our touring and rental gear. And I said, what do you mean all? And he said, all of our inventory is being put up for sale. And I said, how is that even possible? You know, like, what's going on? And they said, well, it's just sitting here.
That sounds like a fishing trip on their part, to be honest.
That's exactly what it sounds like. And so, you know, he told me, you know, basically we were told that, you know, this should be listed and that, you know, we should go out and see what kind of response we get. And I said, is it just a fishing expedition, or are you really looking to sell this? And he said, no, we've already sold some of it.
I reached out to Mickey Kervishley, because Mickey's a, you know, good old friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he'll give me the straight poop on it. And he texted me back and said, I'm taking a month off. I'm in Mexico. I said, oh, okay. Talk to you
Good
later.
for him.
Well,
Good timing. By the
I
way,
heard-
when you come back, you've got no inventory left because somebody sold it all
Yeah,
when you left
exactly.
the room, you know? So,
I heard
Wait,
that
sub-rented.
I heard that they just went to Lidditz and just deprepped that K-pop tour. So all that stuff was heading up. But also something I found funny, I got an email today about PRG Vegas doing an auction through a broker.
yeah, that's been out for a week or so. That's
has it? I just
PRG.
got the email
PRG does
today.
an auction a couple times a year, so that's not. And you know, as long as PRG isn't selling $100 million of their inventory, that's what that's going to do is incentivize a market, maybe move some inventory out of a shop that needs to move some inventory. I mean, certainly companies everywhere should be looking to move some used gear right now. And again, that's not self-promotion, whether you sell it through me or on eBay or through somebody else or direct, I don't care. But
You know,
I care. I'd like you to sell it through me.
Solotech's a little bit of a different animal than most of them, because we got to remember they built that whole company on the backs of Cirque du Soleil, right? The deal I passed on at Very Light, brilliant choice. And
Yeah.
so they have a lot of gear that's been sitting it all looks brand new because it was sitting in an installation for a very, very long time. And it's, when it comes back 10 years later, it's not really viable to put into a rental market house. So
Right.
they probably, and with all the circs closing down, now I don't know about $125 million worth, but I would be willing to bet that they've got at least $50-60 million worth of gear that's probably.
Okay,
changed.
John, the gentleman I spoke to said, number one, it's not circ equipment, it's rental and touring equipment. Number
Wow.
two, this is just a small slice of it.
Yeah, it can't be the Cirque stuff. They would have had to send people into Strike Ka and O and things like that.
No.
No, this is rental and touring gear.
I'm talking about circ stuff over a number of years that is.
Oh, okay. Just
shows.
This is their active rental and touring inventory.
Yeah, wow.
According to him. And according to him, this was just a piece of it. So there was more.
There's a
And so
I do know that. So I do know that.
a lot of brand spanking new equipment on that list.
Yeah, I think that Solotech's in a little bit different shape. Like if you look at NEP and ScreenWorks, like there's a lot of people back to work at ScreenWorks is because of the NBA, the golf, Major League Baseball, and some other things coming up. So their trucks are getting busier, and that makes sense for them. But ScreenWorks is still kind of slowed down. But you've also got, if you look at Solotech, 50% of Solotech's business is building and new installations and stuff. So they're actually, I just don't think it's a desperate act by them. I think it's probably some accountant said, "Hey, see what you can get." I don't know, maybe.
No,
not.
and I'm not.
No, I
suggesting it's
agree with
desperate.
that, but it comes back to what I said, a few calls ago, where it's like you're seeing the tip. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg. Once you have all the 10,000 square foot cross rental small production docks start going down, just like what you're seeing with venues, like this is just it's gonna get really bad really quick for everybody until we figure out where those pieces fit and until the government figures out what they're going to do. Like Rubio brought up eminent domain, which I think makes total sense in our cases. Whether that will ever actually happen, who knows? But I mean, it's scary to think what's down the line if Solotech is doing that now.
And I think this is going to transition to what Michael's sitting on his hands ready to talk about. But I think for the most part, our industry has been very well behaved in that most companies have sat still. Nobody's panicked. Nobody's unleashed their entire inventory on the used market. Nobody has said, "Hey, look, I've got 4,000 Elation fixtures or Ayrton fixtures in stock that I can repurchase again at a really good deal in a year," which is probably the case, by the way, because let's face it, manufacturers are going to be looking to sell some gear. But
but Marcel, there's no market for anybody. Nobody wants to buy any of this shit.
That's actually not true, John. So that there is a market at a price and at a quantity and for certain products. And most products fall into that, by the way. So remember, are we selling $10 million a month right now in used gear? No, we're not. But we're still active. We're still doing pretty well on the used equipment market globally, because for every country that's desperate and dead and just looking to dump inventory, there's another country that's opened back up and is doing small shows and has well-funded people who have been saving money for years for a moment just like this, and so they're stocking up on some stuff right now. So, for everybody who needs to get rid of a line array system or whatever, there's somebody who needs one. Yeah, is it the Wild West on selling gear? No, not really. But if you look at the amount of interest there was on that post today from Solotech, there's a lot of buyers out there. There's definitely a lot of buyers out there.
There's also a lot of, I've got two theaters who are sitting on grants that they got awarded, 6 months ago that.
Which ones are those again, Herrick?
I'll email you.
Which two theaters are those?
Yeah,
I'll call you
exactly.
later.
But they're still sitting on money that's city money or federal money or whatever, and can you get 24 used, decent used lights or 10 brand new lights from Barbizon? They're happy to listen to that. So it's not, and that can't be the only ones. So
no, there's gear selling. There's a lot less on the news side because I guess it all depends on motivation on both sides, right? On the seller side and on the buyer side. But I can tell you, like, I mean, you know, I had somebody very anxious to sell a console earlier this week, and they came to me and said, just buy it from me because, you know, we can't wait. I can't broker it. I need the cash right now for a very specific reason. And I said, well, what do you want for it? And he gave me a price, and we listed it for sale a little bit more than that price and sold it within a day. And so, you know, I mean, there's always buyers, and you know, everyone thinks that you have to drop your pants on the used gear market to sell, but you really don't. You know, good gear at the right time is going to sell regardless. So especially when you can reach outside of your own markets. So I know when people are having trouble, and in this particular case, this person called everyone he knew to buy the console and nobody wanted to buy it. And so we listed it, and our reach is a little further than his reach. You know, we go not only outside his local market, but outside the US, outside North America, et cetera. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about that Solotech thing because I think it's impactful. You know, what I would never want to see would be like a race war between them and PRG, where PRG goes, oh yeah, you're going to put 123 million. We're going to put 250 million out there. Because that's where you get to a point where there's no buyers for, you know, $200 million in used gear. There's nobody out there buying that kind of stuff right now. No way. You know, that'd take you 6 months to even come close to selling $100 million in used gear, you know, and even then, I don't even know where you'd find those buyers, but there you have it. Anyone else have thoughts on that one? Me and John have been speaking over top of everyone, so
it's going to be interesting to see if they sell anything. Is anything of value on that list? There was an Excel sheet put on a Facebook group yesterday. There's two of them, one for gear, one for consoles. It's going to be interesting where they sell because everything's listed at $0 if it's relevant.
Yeah,
they don't put the numbers.
Yeah, it's
Do you
all
have a
kind of a
copy of
make
the
offer.
list?
I do.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I can send it to you. I'm not going to post it in this chat or anything because I think that might be sort of a conflict of confidentiality or something on their part, but I'd be happy to send it to you, Patrick. Okay, so without further ado, I would love for Mr. Strickland. He's had a very busy week this week, and I'd love for Michael to update us on some of the goings on, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Marcel. Good to see everybody. I've come to know most everybody on here through all of this, if I didn't know you to begin with. And it's been a pleasure to meet you. We're almost to the finish line, sort of. Stephen Vitale, who's been an absolute monster in all this, is with us, as is Rocco Vitale, and thank you very much. Steve Warren's been a rock star. All of the media people across all of the media in our industry, thank you very much. You've all gone above and beyond in getting the word out. I'm going to jump over all of the back facts, and if you don't know the back facts, I'm sorry, but it would make my talk way longer to begin the trip. But here's where we are now, and what we've got to do. And Stephen Vitale, I apologize, you just heard this on a previous call. The real strength in what we've done has been the numbers. It's been all of you guys and gals and all of the organizations that you belong to, and so on and so forth. And there's such a large number of organizations: NEVA, NITO, Event Alliance Coalition, owning the Pyro people, the laser people who I just spoke to, the fair people. I mean, it just goes on. Everybody has his or her initiative. Every organization is doing their thing. Everybody's pitching their thing, and therein lies the power. And each time we do a call to action, or each time we ask, and indeed everyone communicates with their legislator, it has been phenomenal. And for those of you that get the email, you've read it and you've heard about it, but I'm going to bring you up to speed because what has happened has been absolutely phenomenal. And again, it wouldn't have happened without virtually everybody on this call and all the people that you touch. But and some of you have heard this, and I apologize. If you go to the U.S. Congress website and look, you'll see that Restart dropped on 5/21, and it had the two sponsors. until we did the first call to action from NAM. And then there were 12 senators that signed up. Then we did what I call the D-Day email on July 16th with the big call to action, and 24 senators signed up and 40 odd Congress people. Today we've got 47 senators and 78 Congress people signed up. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's the single biggest bill out there addressing this type of need with that much support. It's completely bipartisan support. And in my journey, it went from the two original sponsors, Young and Bennett, forever and ever and ever with no support. And it wasn't until we, via those two NAM releases, did what we did that they began to sign on. And that includes my two senators that you've heard me talk about, Lamar Alexander and Marcia Blackburn. All I got out of them for 2.5 months was, yeah, it's a bill. Yeah, it's a bill. Yeah, no, that'll never happen. And then when the ball started rolling, which was caused by all of you, then they too got on board. And again, you can go look at the website and see, and it's just incredible, the cause and effect. You look at the dates and you see all the people signing up. And then that led up to 4 days ago when I sent you all the email about the Howard Schultz letter. And the Howard Schultz letter was the absolute tsunami to the legislators. The Howard Schultz letter went out, and I sent you a brief little listing of the number of media people. That was an hour into it. When you hang up from this call, go Google Howard Schultz letter last 48 hours. And it's all over the world. It's in Japan, it's in Russia, it's in China. I mean, it was picked because it's Howard Schultz, it's Walt Disney, it's ABC. You saw the names on it. It's 50 of the biggest names in the business. It's Meg Whitman, who started eBay, then went and ran HP for a minute, and now she's got that Quibi thing going on. I mean, it's some powerful folks. It got their attention. I've got 30, 40 legislators and or their staff that talk to me. Most of them that next morning sent me that, going, hey, have you seen this? And of course, my response was, did you see who signed it? Which shows me they hadn't actually looked at the signatures, but they went back and looked at it and saw that my signature was on it. That whole endeavor gave what we're doing and what small business is doing an amount of weight that you won't believe. And that has, again, been wrapped into what we're doing. But let's go back to the NAM piece. NAM, as I've told you before, has this phenomenal voice on the Hill. As I told you before, 2 years ago, they got $1.4 billion worth of funding for music education. NAM means something. Bandit Lights means nothing on the Hill. PRG means nothing on the Hill. Most of the organizations that we've stood up don't really mean anything to the legislators. But when we've all come in together with NAM, and again, I'm not pimping NAM, I don't own stock or anything, but they have a voice, they're respected. And so it's been phenomenal. Keep doing it. And I had to set this all up so that you would understand the next steps of it. The way Congress works, House and Senate, they start at noon on Monday and they stop at noon on Friday, and supposedly the other half of those 2 days they travel. But the truth is they typically work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They are supposed to work through Friday at noon. Usually they will quit tomorrow, Thursday at 4 o'clock. Word on the street is they're going to work through 5 o'clock Friday to try to get this done. When they get done, they're done until September the 8th, theoretically. The House is out. House is already gone. The House has done a thing called suspension of rules. They have suspended the normal rules, and they are allowed to vote remotely. Why? So they can act on this bill from wherever they may be right now. And under suspension of rules, they only require 2/3 to pass. And here's where it all sits. Let's look at it holistically. I've shared with you before my fear that they could work all of this out and it will be held up by money for states. I've been afraid of that forever, and those of you that read my emails have read that. That's where we are right now. They've worked through most of the things. The Republicans in the White House have both basically said, although this isn't public, yeah, we're good with $600 a day on the enhanced unemployment. They've come to terms on most other relevant things, but the biggest big rock is the state's money. Now, I have it from underground, and you haven't heard this, but I've gotten this from Democrats, and I believe it to be true. The Democrats have dropped from $1 trillion to $500 billion for states' money. The Republicans came in at 120. I know again from talking to them, they'll go to 150. So right now there's this air gap. Well, last night at 9 o'clock, it was out there that the Republicans are going to snooch up to 500. I believe with all of my being, the Democrats are not going to go below 500 billion. There's too much conversation about that. And in their mind, they've already come down halfway. So they're waiting on the Republicans to come up halfway. That seems to be the biggest rub right now. There is very little conversation about what we need. And I believe that to be because we're third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth in the importance scale of what's needed. They're looking at bigger issues. We are lumped in with small business, which includes fishing boats and small railroads and obviously the restaurant business, things of that nature. So there's a lot of people that have a vested interest in this, and the Howard Schultz letter benefited all of us. But there's not a lot of conversation going on. The truth is, and you may have read this in the news, Mnuchin and Meadows met with Pelosi and Schumer last Saturday morning at 9:30 in the White House for a couple of hours. The aides continued it on Sunday. They went back into meetings on Monday and Tuesday and indeed today. There's a little bit of stuff going on amongst the senators, but the truth of the matter is, and I've used this analogy before, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, and you're cooking with the groceries that you brought. And right now, the real action is with those four people, and they're in Pelosi's office, and that's where it's getting done. So the senators are kind of outside this, and those four people aren't really talking to the senators, which means the senators aren't really talking to their staff, which means there's a big void of information. And there's been a void since yesterday morning, really. Now I get bits and pieces at night when they break, but right now a lot of the senators are shooting in the dark. Here's what I can tell you. I apologize for being so long-winded, but I want you to understand it. Most of the elements are in there. There's the sticking block on the state's money. Let's drill down on what we're asking for. There's really two paths, or three if you want to count nothing at all. Nothing at all is what's in the HEROES Act. Nothing at all for small business. I'm going to discount that because people both sides have told me, no, we're going to do something. As the HEALS Act is written, and for those of you that have gotten my data, you understand that's the Rubio bill, Senate Bill 4321, which is actually tucked up as part of the HEALS Act. It provides basically for 10 more weeks of PPP. In other words, whatever you got before, you'll get again. Well, that carries you for 10 weeks. It also is triggered on the last year of income up to the date of your getting the loan, which means sort of 60, 70% of your last year, you have no income. So it's going to greatly diminish how much you can even get. And then there's a $2 million cap. And the $2 million cap doesn't work for a lot of people. So a number of us have, and some of you have gotten it. I actually wrote the language that needs to be inserted into Rubio's bill and sent it to him, as have thousands of other people. So they've gotten the language as it needs to be to uncap it, to make it based on 2019 as a calendar year, and to give us 20 weeks. So we're lobbying that bunch of folks to correct Senate Bill 4321 if that becomes the legislation. Let's move over to Restart. Restart is not actually in the kitchen. What's in the kitchen is Senate Bill 4321 as written. Restart, luckily, is in the car. It's not on the shelf at the grocery store. They can run out to the car and grab it. I mean that literally. And the reason they would go grab it is this phenomenal, phenomenal pressure that has been brought by many markets, but none stronger than us. So now, again, yesterday, 6 Congress people and 3 senators signed up just yesterday. And it's my understanding more have signed up today, but that won't be reflected till tonight. So they're talking about it. It's my hope they take that and they drop it in. And again, simplistically, what that will do for all of us is give you 45% of last year's gross income. And you can either spend it as you wish and have none of it forgiven, or you can spend as much as you wish on payroll and payroll related items and rent and utilities and PPP gear and a handful of other included things, and that will be forgiven. Theoretically, you can spend it between now and the end of the year, and it's also potentially written in there you can spend it between now and the first 2 weeks of next year. Some people would be able to take that money and write it all off. Some people would be able to write some of it off. The balance right now as written will come to you and stay with you as a 7-year in either 2 or 3% loan. There is a lot of pressure to make that either a 10 or a 20-year 1% loan. Again, I don't know where that's going to end up. I know there's a lot of pressure, and I'm one of the people pushing to make it a 20-year 1% loan. Now, most of you think in your head, how much did I gross? Okay, I did $10 million last year. 45% is $4.5 million. Well, goodness, I only need $2 million to get through the end of the year. So am I going to borrow the whole 45%? Now, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. Some people are going to take all of the money. Some people will only take what they think they need. Now, my advice to you would be this. It would probably be wise if 45% is way more than you need, figure out what you need to get through March and make it to get through March, because none of us know what January, February, March will look like. I do believe there'll be income. I don't believe it will be as significant as we would need. That ties into the vaccines, which I'll get into in a minute. But at any rate, you know, if you had to ask me which path are they going to go on, I've been asking that question since yesterday morning of everybody that I know, the lobbyist included, and we can't seem to pry an answer out of anybody. And we all agree it's because those 4 people are focused on the big rock, which is the state's money. So why is it important that we continue to reach out to the senators? It's important because they're going to do something. What do I think is going to happen? One of 2 things. They're either going to work it out by 5 o'clock Friday and vote on it Monday or Tuesday, or they're not going to work it out by 5 o'clock Friday, and they're going to come back Monday and Tuesday and work it out, and then vote on it Wednesday or Thursday. What happens then is, because of the suspension of rules, the House will vote remotely. And here's what I'm being told by both sides of the aisle, and I do believe it to be true. The Senate will pass it, and there'll be 20 Republicans support it, and there'll be 25 Republicans support it, and 20 and 30 Democrats. Bottom line, it's going to be bipartisan. Why? There will be people dead set against voting for the Senate bill on both sides of the aisle. But I'm told that there is enough support, both sides of the aisle, that it's going to pass. They'll get 60 votes bipartisan, and in a big bipartisan way. And the secure votes in the Senate and the secure votes in the House are the people running for re-election, because the people running for re-election cannot afford to be seen to be doing nothing. So they could trot a dog out there, and the people running for re-elections would probably vote for it, simply because we're there. It's re-election time. Nobody running for re-election wants to be accused of not supporting small business, because it makes up 85% of American business. So I do feel comfortable that it's going to pass. I do feel comfortable it won't be a dogfight between parties. I just don't know exactly what it will be. Now, an interesting development happened 1 hour and 20 minutes ago. 1 hour and 20 minutes ago, Mitch McConnell, not publicly, but he went to his to the Senate senators and the Senate staff, and he told them, if we don't have a deal by 5 o'clock Friday, there's not going to be a deal. Now, I don't know if he's posturing, or I don't know if he's going to stick by his guns, because that's politics is a game. And, you know, I don't know which one that is, but he did say that. And again, depending on who you talk to, they say that they're going to get there. They say that there's going to be a deal. But again, what we don't know is which version. Now, to sort of wrap up the which version piece of this, there is a phenomenal support for Restart. I hope you read that Howard Schultz letter. I mean, it got their attention, as well as your reach outs and your contact. So we've done our job. They know we're here. They know we need money. The only reason it would be Senate Bill 4321 tucked into HEALS is because it's tucked into HEALS. HEALS will not be the bill. The bill will be some of HEROES, some of HEALS, some of this, some of that. And again, I do believe that they can and will reach out to the car and get the Restart Act, because there's just too much attention behind it. And the other piece is, after the 16th email, and I think I may have told this group this, but I'm going to repeat it. After the 16th email, if you remember, on that email, you had access to the chief of staff and the legislative director's direct email. That was courtesy of our good friends at NAM. Boy, did we piss some people off, because you went to their cell phones. That wasn't one of those boxes that an aide checks. You went to the chief of staff's cell phone and to the legislative director's cell phone. And the day after that, for 4 days, I and Chris at NAM and Mary at NAM got phone call after phone call after going, stop, for God's sake, stop, because that's their cell phone. And, you know, they got their wife texting and they got other important stuff, and they got literally thousands of texts. And they were just going delete, 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 to the point that they were pissed off. So Chris and I, Chris is the lobbyist, Chris Cushing, Chris and I and Mary got on the phone, and there's 2 ways to look at it. One is we pissed them off, and 2 is we did our job. And we don't really want to piss anybody off, but we got their attention. And after that, in talking to my legislative friends, both senators and Congress people and their aides, they said that by a factor of 10, that the live event business communicated with them by a factor of 10 over anyone else. And so I had a lot of conversation about how did we do that? Well, we know how we did it, but why? And I think that the fact is easy. The biggest business in this space is restaurants. But restaurants have the owner and the manager and the people that are on salary. They don't have a network like this for their wait staff. Their wait staff were just laid off 100 years ago, and they don't have this. You know, they don't have this system and this communication and these phenomenal magazines and these champions that are going out and doing this. Right now, when I send it out, each of you, many of you have your own mailing list, and I've sat down and done it, and we're close to 1 million people that I know of that this goes to. You know, Shure Microphones came to me a long time ago. Well, Shure had 1,000 people in the United States. The Live Events Coalition has 40,000 people on their email list. Each of the magazines has a ginormous email list, so on and so forth. And I've been able to cobble together between NEVA and NITO and the magazines, you know, we're up close to 1 million people that get this email, and then in turn they act. And you know, all of my legislative friends have told me they've never seen this much email from a single industry. So it works. And again, I apologize for being so long-winded. I want you to know where we are. I don't know which one of these 2 vehicles it will be. I pray it's the restart, because that works for venues. That works for everybody. And the people that sit in a different position are the pyro people, the laser people, the Broadway people, some of the film and TV people, and the manufacturers. Because all of you, and I've told some of you this, you all sit in a boat that needs a runway probably till June or July of next year, because nobody's going to buy any sound or light equipment until April or May or June of next year. The pyro and laser people, they're the last to the game. Why? Because not every rock show carries pyro and lasers. Not every event uses pyro and lasers. Those are sort of icing on the cake for events. So they're going to have a longer runway. And the manufacturers, as we all know, they're not going to sell anything for a long time. So I'm not going to stop this. I'm going to continue. There is discussion of another round, and there's got to be another consideration given for the people in that group. And I'm going to continue this fight, because that's a big, important group. And I've already had that conversation with the legislators, but we've got to get those people over that hump from January to July of next year. So I hope that in the next 30 hours, there will be another call to action. And here's what it will be. It will be very focused, because once we know what they have or will drop into the legislation, we'll come back to all of you with a very, very specific ask. I mean, the last 2 have been fairly general. Once we have the facts, we'll come to you. Let's say that they drop in the Rubio bill. Let's say that they drop the Rubio bill without the 3 alterations that I have given them. And I think I told you, I actually wrote it legally like it would need to be dropped into the bill. So all they have to do is cut and paste. Let's assume that they don't change the Rubio bill. Our ask will be to change the Rubio bill, because at that point we'll know restart's off the table. If indeed tomorrow or Friday we get a draft and there's elements of restart, if they don't line up correctly, we'll come back to you with an ask to straighten up the restart. So that will be the next ask for a call to action. And then a piece beyond that is, and you've heard me talk about this, the legislators tend to look at this holistically, and They may do it generically and they say, well, Treasury will write the regulations for that, which is typically what happens. If that happens, if this bill passes with a funding mechanism that makes us happy, but with details that we're unsure of, beyond next week, we will keep this initiative alive to lobby the legislators, to lobby Treasury, to get the Treasury regulations written in the fashion that we need them written. Because if you remember, when you got your first PPP, you had to use it in 8 weeks, remember? And then you were done. Well, all of you did. And then when you got to the end of the weeks, they changed the regs and went, oh, just kidding, you got to the end of the year. Well, you had already spent the money, hadn't you? So I want to get the rules right on the front end so there are no surprises. And I'll be plugged into that process. I have access to Mnuchin, who obviously Secretary of the Treasury. So I'm sending notes to him about that. But we could have an ask beyond this next ask to get Treasury regulations correct, if indeed they don't. And the last piece of this is, again, there's a lot of freelance people. The way Restart is written, freelancers will be able to come in, 1099 people, and play the same game. You just stand up your 1099 earnings from last year, take 45%, and you'll be able to play the game as well. So really, Restart at this point seems to be our best bet. And I'm praying to God that that is the path that they take. And I think I've covered, one other neat thing. Through all of this, and again, thanks to all of you, I've been connecting people to people, and people have been connecting me to people. And Stephen Vitale and Rocco have just been rock stars. And one of the connections I made was Senator Todd Young from Indiana, who wrote the Restart. I made him and his staff aware that Tyler Truss is in their state, which they didn't know. So I'm proud to announce that the senator and his staff are visiting Tyler Truss on Tuesday. So, you know, we're getting wins like that. We're getting wins like that down the way. PRG got
Kristen Gillibrand.
Kristen Gillibrand to visit their shop 2 weeks ago. Those things are significant. And Gillibrand has obviously gotten on board. You know, her focus from one point of view narrowly is Broadway, but holistically is live events. So, and there's other situations that have occurred like that. So we are making a difference. And again, I want to thank all of you, and don't think that the power of one is the power of one. It's not. It's just absolutely phenomenal. So today, tomorrow, be prepared. If you haven't reached out, reach out again. If you've got a personal touch, make it, and be prepared for the next call to action, which should come in the next 30 hours.
So thank you very much for that update. First of all, you're not over speaking. We're all sitting here, you know, patiently waiting for your information, because you are obviously a fountain of information for a group of people who doesn't have any. So thank you. You're not like overstepping or over speaking or whatever it is you were saying, talking too much. One thing, a point I wanted to make concerning what you just said, where, you know, people need to reach out and you might know people or whatever. Michael actually sent me an email on Friday evening, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
And said, hey, would you happen to know anybody at Marco Rubio's office? And I said, well, no, I don't, but actually I have a good friend who has Marco Rubio on her cell phone, because she was bragging to me about it. And she used to actually be the chairman of the Republican Party here in Palm Beach. She was the chairman of Jeb Bush's presidential campaign, failed presidential campaign. And she is also, her name is Anita Mitchell, and she was married to an astronaut named Edgar Mitchell, who I believe went to the moon. Actually, I know he went to the moon because I was in her condo, and there's an unbelievable framed picture on her wall of the Earth taken by him from the moon. So, I mean, it's one of the coolest pictures I've ever seen. You know, he took the picture from the moon of the Earth. And so, anyways, with that said, so I reached out to her and I reached out to some other people, and lo and behold, I actually got a response back from Rubio's office saying, thank you very much. We're happy that you like our bill, and we'll do anything we can to help you guys, basically. So really, I mean, I think this sort of 6 degrees of separation thing, like what Michael's talking about, where his emails are making their way to 1 million people because people like Patrick Dearson and others are forwarding that email to their lists. It's very helpful, but also all of you know someone who can make a difference here. And it seems like you're not really doing much when you're forwarding these things, but you really are. And, these people need to keep hearing from us. So that's number one. Number two, on your shirt there, Michael, is that Jimmy Buffett or Warren Buffett? Other side.
Oh, Jimmy Buffett. I didn't know what
There
shirt
you
I
go.
had.
Okay, I was just making sure. And then I have a question, which is, on the Restart Act, and a lot of people have been talking to me about this like I'm some kind of genius and I have no idea. But on the Restart Act, does that basically encompass PPP? In other words, you wouldn't get Restart and PPP. Restart has the same characteristics within it of PPP, where if you use funds on certain things, that becomes forgivable. Is that correct?
I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot a talking point. Yes. You'll be able to get 45% of last year's income. Any element of it you use for payroll and payroll-related items, as you did in PPP, will be forgivable as they were in PPP. The one undefined thing, and again, they'll probably say, well, Treasury will have to set that. And again, that's a war I'm already waging. I have for 5 weeks, I have pushed and pushed and pushed that however we get money, let it flow through the existing SBA paperwork that you executed for your original PPP. You do not want to have to go stand up a new set of rules and regulations and paperwork. I don't know how that's going to end up. I and a lot of other people are pushing for that. And that will be a talking point in the next call to action. And here's why. If they're reliant on your original paperwork, number one, you don't have to do it. All you have to do is go to your lender and execute a second loan, which is very simple. If they make us stand up a whole nother program and a whole nother application, in my humble opinion, that will be a 3-week endeavor, which means you won't see money until mid-September. And for a lot of people, that's just way too late. Because for those of you that went through PPP, you'll remember how laborious it was and how the rules kept changing and the forms kept changing. Well, I have no reason to believe it would be any different if they stood up a whole new program for this round of PPP. So I and others are pushing for whatever we do, use the original vehicle, the original SBA paperwork, and then let us just execute a new note with our local lender. Don't know that we're going to win that, but that will be a talking point, to your point, Marcel.
Right.
Hey, Michael, what do you think the liability shield will finally look like when it's all done?
That's a great question. There's so many ways that this goes. I need to get into the vaccine as well. I spent countless hours on the phone. I'm an attorney by education, but never took the bar. And I know a lot of attorneys, and I've been on the phone with probably 10 different entertainment attorneys, because that's who we talk to. Every one of them has the same story, which is, unless it's an absolute liability release, I'm not letting my artist go out. And I'll give you a name. Garth Brooks' lawyer, who's one of my dearest friends, says, if you think I'm going to put 100,000 people in a stadium with the liability release written like it is now, you're nuts. Because what it says basically is they can't sue us unless we're grossly negligent. And Garth's lawyer said to me, they'll find 20,000 people out of 100 that will swear we were grossly negligent, and then we'll be forced to settle a class action. So the entertainment lawyers want a total liability release before they go forward. And that includes, if you put on the back of the ticket like Disney has, enter at your own risk. Well, the entertainment lawyers still want a total release. I don't know that that's possible, because I know that the American Trial Lawyers Association, who support the Democratic Party, don't want that at all, because they're salivating about this. So I do know that there'll be some form of indemnity release, and the one that was written that I sent to you a while ago said what I told you, that you can't sue unless they're grossly negligent. I got a feeling that's where it's going to end up, but I think that'll end up in yet another legal fight later down the road. And the other piece that I needed to cover was the vaccine situation, again, with my medical hat. As I told you, I speak 3 times a day to the hospital board. The AstraZeneca and the Moderna are still saying September and late September delivery for AstraZeneca and mid-October for Moderna. A 30,000 person test is happening here out of Knoxville at my hospital with the Moderna solution. And the AstraZeneca people are still saying that they're going to be able to give shots in October. And the Moderna people are saying shots in November. If you watch the news, the Russians have announced they're going to be inoculating in October, and the English have announced they're going to be inoculating in October as well. And again, from all the input that I get, there's 4 different, very viable, very effective, working vaccines that the medical community, and they don't talk loudly about it, but they're very confident this is going to work. And the reason it's very important is if we start, excuse me, if we start inoculating people in October and November, I think that improves our chances of significant revenue in February, March.
Yeah, it's the delivery of, several 100 million vaccines that I think have to take, correct me if I'm wrong, but have to take at least 2 shots to get effectiveness.
They're already producing.
Most of those are going to have 100 million in the U.S. at rollout. Now you need 340 million, and there's going to be some controlling of who gets that 100 million. But yes, they both, Matt, to your point, they both said that they're going to roll. They're making them now, and they're going to have 100 million. So
that's great. It just doesn't happen overnight, though. Is the point? It can't.
Yeah, that's why I said February.
Yeah, no, I know you said that. That's just
Eric. It's like rolling the dice. They assume being in phase 2 and phase 3 that it's successful, so they just start mass producing it now.
There's 4 of them in 3 right now.
So Michael, if they have a vaccine and we're still not through the liability side of it, I mean, where are we at with that? That's my biggest concern, is that we have the vaccine, but yet the people that don't have the vaccine and we don't have a liability shield, are we still back to dead in the water, or are we getting a little bit closer?
You've now wandered, Patrick, into opinion.
I got it.
My opinion is that they're going to roll it out with this limited liability, but I also do strongly believe that before January, they'll have re-looked at it and provided a broader liability, because it's not just entertainment that's complained about it. Right now, a patron at a concert cannot sue for catching the flu or anything else. They just can't, because you can't prove you caught it there. Therein lies the problem. And it's not about the burden of proof. It's about the weight of a class action that scares people. And right now, if you have an employee that catches the flu or anything else in the workplace, they can't sue you. They go talk to workers' comp. And again, workers' comp doesn't cover illness. It's just something you deal with personally. So, the end of all those legal actions, I think we see now that there isn't a cause of action, even with that limited liability. But the fear is the class action.
Strickland, I have 3 questions for you. First of all, thank you for doing all this. But 1, the EIDL, there was talk about actually extending the $10,000 grant that was originally promised to everyone who received it. So instead of getting $1,000 per employee, it would be extended to you get the $10,000. I don't know if you've heard anything about that, if that's making its way through. The other is I heard blanket forgiveness around $150,000 and below. I don't know if that's a thing.
Did you say 150,000 in blow?
And yes, I heard blow.
I'm in.
Geez. God, I heard that wrong. I was like, what the hell have we come to in this industry?
I know, right?
Get your mind out of the gutter, Marcel.
Get it out.
Jesus, 150 grand and below, you're gonna forget it.
And then finally, the last one was, is there going to be verbiage in there for people who do have combined 1099 W-2 income, that both of those aspects can be looked at applying for one of these new loans or the PPP loan? Or is it just 1099 income?
That's 3 questions. Let me start. The EIDL, it may even be passed now. They're going to forgive the EIDL totally up to $10,000. What was the second thing?
What do you mean forgive it up to 10,000? Are they actually going to be giving us the 10,000 we were promised when we applied?
Yes. That, theoretically, now what was the second thing you
The
said?
forgiveness up to $150,000.
Forgiveness up to 150,000 has already been agreed to off the books to $1 million, and there's even what I'm being told by all the politicians, both sides of the aisle, is 2 million will probably be the forgiveness number. In other words, if you got 2 million or less in the original round of PPP, sign here, you're done, thank you, because the cost accounting of trying to make you prove you spent it far outweighs the value of the loan. So I do believe it'll either settle at $1 million or 2 million for total forgiveness with a simple execution of a single piece of paper.
So Matt, just take out 900,000, you'll be fine, buddy.
Yeah.
So I guess, does that also apply to the EIDL loan also?
That's what I'm hearing, yes.
Okay.
And then what was, there's been a lot of work put in for those people, and I spoke to this many times, that are both W-2 and 1099. I misspoke early, because when people said they had W-2, I know a lot of people, and you probably do too, that set up their own companies that work for themselves, and their company, Matt's Lights bills the client, and then Matt's Lights gets the money, and then Matt's Lights pays you, Matt. I know people that do that. Those are the ones that can claim both, and I was assuming previously that's what.
Yeah, my problem is artists want to pay me in W-2.
If you work for Bon Jovi for 3 months and the Rolling Stones for 3 months, and then 1099 the rest of the year, they haven't figured that out yet, because, as I said before, the ability to reclaim that W-2 rests with the payer, and that they haven't figured out a way to get it away from the Rolling Stones and give it to Matt. And I don't know a way to do that. And if you had to, again, ask my opinion, I'm not sure that gets resolved.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Anybody have any
Michael, I got a question
questions?
for you on the vaccine. So how has the government figured out how they're going to get everybody in the country to take it? And how ugly is that legal battle going to be when everybody's told you have to take it, or a corporation says you can't come back to work until you have it?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a large number of people. I deal with that in my hospital role. There's a large number of what they call them anti-vaxxers in the world. I didn't know how many there were, but there's a lot. What I'm told statistically, and I don't know how they got to this, but I'm being told right now statistically, more than half of the anti-vaxxers have indicated that they're anti-vaxxers otherwise, but they're okay with this one. And I don't mean that to be critical, but somehow the medical community has knowledge that there is a segment of the anti-vax community that will take this one. And they say that they believe it's founded in the fact that the anti-vaxxers are afraid of measles and chickenpox and those kinds of things. But at this moment, they feel that this is needed to let them live. So they believe it's a smaller set. Kevin, to your point, it's a legal issue. And I've heard both sides of the argument occur in front of me. The medical community has no voice in it. We're going to make it. And then it's up to the politicians. How do you force somebody to take a vaccine? And it's almost the same question as the mask. And we have had that conversation at the hospital. But the belief is that right now, if 30% of the world won't wear a mask, they believe it'll be a much smaller number of people that won't get a vaccine, because there doesn't seem to be a ginormous pushback to the vaccine.
Hey, Michael, has there been talk about any kind of plan of, like, once you get the vaccine, and I hate to go Black Mirror on this, but I mean, are we going to have some sort of green dot on our phone that lights up? We can show people it says, yes, we've been vaccinated, or a card, or, I mean, because I can see this being a thing where if you want to go work at Madison Square Garden or at the Staples Center, you better have a vaccine, because they may not let you in. I mean,
but then won't people just sell counterfeit green dots?
It's exactly my point. And it's like, how are we going to, this whole thing, I know it's much bigger than the vaccine. There's going to be the people that are going to fake it because they don't want to take the vaccine for whatever reason, but they want to work. And I mean, what have you been hearing, if any? And I'll shut up after this. I'm sorry. But it seems like this could become the new norm. Like, the porn set of our production industry. Have you been tested?
There's nothing easy about it.
The last time this was an issue was the polio vaccine in the 50s and early 60s, which I'm old enough to have been part of. And at that point in time, people didn't push back because politically and socially and every other way, the world was just extraordinarily afraid of dying of polio. So we all pretty well lined up and got our polio shots. We're in a different space and time now. And with all the personal freedoms and the timidness of Big Brother keeping up with you, and there's a lot of people that don't even want the tracking done because of all the things that brings to bear. Again, I'm wandering into opinion now. I don't know any way that the government, without being viewed as governmental overreach by a large segment of people, can do that. I'm not taking sides. I'm saying operations.
I completely understand that. I'm just throwing the question out there because.
Yeah. And there's been a bunch of conversation about that, but it's just like the tracking conversation. In Korea, as you probably know from the news, they track all their people and they know where they are. But then again, that's a totalitarian communist society. So they tell you that you're going to be tracked. And I don't mean that deferentially to the Koreans, but I think you've got a big legal/social hurdle to jump there, and I don't.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to be able to force everyone to take a vaccine. I mean, we're not that kind of a country,
If I can jump in though, it's just, and again, it's opinion, of course, which I have.
Yes.
Once it's widely available, but like same with testing, like everybody can go get tested now if you really seek it out. Most of us, depending on where you are in the country. But once the vaccine's there, we're all going, after 6 or 8 months of this, and everybody, it's so widely available that if you haven't been vaccinated, you haven't been vaccinated, and at which point you're risking yourself as opposed to risking everybody around you. So it's all, that's the ultimately it'll be basically what the herd immunity is, which
you can't enter common sense into this. That's where it falls apart.
Right, but if I'm vaccinated and 1 out of the 100 people on the crew aren't vaccinated, then that's the risk of that guy, right? We want it to be better, but
it's common sense, right? And there's going to be people that just are not going to do it. What do you do with them?
All you have to look at, Mark, is it's printed on the side of a pack of cigarettes that it'll kill you, but people still smoke. And I'm not being critical. It's a fact. And if you want to rely on law, we have a law against murder, but there's several thousand murders every year in the United States. So.
Well, but Michael, this is an interesting issue because, and I think I've mentioned it on this call before, but I am absolutely not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a for-vaxxer. I'm not an anything vaxxer. I mean, if somebody tells me 100%, if you take this little needle in your arm, you're never going to get coronavirus, I will take the needle in my arm. But number one, I don't think anyone can tell me that. And number two, I've never taken a flu shot in my life until January of this year. I took a flu shot because my doctor said, why not? You got nothing to lose. The next week, I got the worst flu I've ever had in my life. And, seriously, I rarely get sick. And I got so friggin' sick the week after I took a flu shot. So I'm not anti-vaxxer, but I'm definitely not take a needle in your arm and you'll never get sick again. I don't really believe in that so much. I believe I'm generally healthy and, I'm going to fight off whatever comes, hopefully. But at the same time, like Herrick, don't get upset at me. I might just take that vaccine. If I believe it's going to work, I'm going to take it. But I think that's my decision. That's my personal decision. Don't put me in jail if I don't.
Your decision. It's absolutely your
and
decision.
Yours.
We just need a preponderance of our country to take it, and
100%.
So, but after that, I think once everybody has a chance at it to be disease free, then that's up to you. If you want to go to
Herrick, you're going to be really happy to hear this, but I just went to 2 more races in the last 10 days. I've been at 2 racing events, and the one that I was at this weekend had fans there. And whenever I went into bathrooms, whenever I went anywhere where there was a crowd of people or whatever, I wore a mask. But I was in Alabama. I was in Barber Motorsports Park just outside Birmingham, Alabama. nobody wears masks. Full restaurants, no masks. Full stores, gas
Chain smokers
stations,
playing
whatever.
concerts there.
Nobody playing nobody wearing masks.
You
And
can only be responsible for yourself. You know.
but here's the thing, Herrick. What I'm saying is, I would wear a mask, and I'd be looking at people going, "You fucking bastard," because they didn't have a mask on.
Yeah,
And
man.
every time I did that, though, I was thinking, "God, freaking Herrick," because
damn it,
because I know that's what you'd be saying, right? But
a little bit.
No, but at the end of the day, I mean,
it didn't
we're not
hurt.
stupid. Take some personal responsibility. That's all there is to it, and it's common sense, like Mark said. And by the way, Mark, did you get a new internet provider or something? Because God, you sound good today. There's no like noise and all that stuff. Usually, I have to mute your mic all the time.
I just moved from the guest house into my real house, so I don't have to pay for it out there too. So I'll do it from in here from now on. Sorry, I didn't know it was that bad.
So much better. No, it's just I always had to mute your mic because you'd be sitting there not even talking. I'd be going making all this noise.
6 feet from my my wireless connection. So
there you go. There you go. Well, you sound damn good, Mark.
Okay.
Can I show the other side of this coin for the liability conversation? And I know if blanket liability appeared in our country right now, we'd all have concerts and it'd just be easier. But I have 1,000 friends who are union and they're IA and they're the people who unload the trucks and put the lights up, like everybody here, but they're union. And we all know that that corporations behave badly. And if there's a blanket liability, I mean, come on. If there's a blanket liability and somebody says masks have to be done, you have to be vaccinated, and name 3 other things, and we have to, even it's happening in film too, you have to have your temperature taken, all that stuff. And if that stuff is lax, if they say, yeah, whatever, just unload the truck, buddy, and there's this blanket liability, then that's what's going to happen. And people are going to feel unsafe. And if somebody waves their hand and says, hey, I feel unsafe, I don't want to go back to that job site tomorrow, that's their right. But also, that they're not going to get called for the next gig.
Yeah, but to go back about 79% into your statement there, I don't think corporations behave badly. So I think there are some douchebag corporations, but most of them don't behave badly. I mean, Michael, does your corporation behave badly?
No.
Does mine? No. I don't know. Patrick Whalen, does yours? Eric Loader, does yours? I mean, most of our corporations don't behave badly. So yes, you're absolutely right, Eric.
Yeah, but most of the time, it's most of the time that we've been seeing, it's the client's lawyers that are making these stipulations, and that we have to argue with our HR to not sign it. And then that becomes another problem that we've seen over the last 3 months.
Right. But I can tell you, like, Paramount behaves badly. Disney behaves badly. Scott Rudin behaves badly. And he doesn't do it willfully. It doesn't like come from Scott Rudin. It comes from like a Broadway producer who's trying to get a goddamn show loaded in 5 days instead of 12 days.
Exactly.
It's not intentional, but these things are going to happen. And there's 20 guys on a Broadway stage. Suddenly there's 25 guys on a Broadway stage instead of the 12 that somebody decided was appropriate, right? And so someone's going to say, hey, I can't go out there. Electrics is out there. And someone's going to be like, well, you got to be done by 4. And that's, and it shouldn't be up to the union guy, the electrician, to be like, hey, I got to wave the flag and complain. And then it's going to kick up to the union. And the blanket liability makes this a problem.
So yeah, but I would tell my staff, Eric, in that situation, what I would always tell my staff is if you're ever in a position where you feel like they're making you unsafe, like they're just like, hey, climb that thing over there with no, fall arrest or anything like that, you're not going to do that either, right? So anytime they're going to put you in danger and you feel like you're in danger, don't do it.
Yeah, and you have to speak up about it. And just speak up to see what the right answer is through that individual HR department or
I know that that's the answer, but once there's a blanket liability, it makes it a lot harder for that. It's like Silkwood,
Well, it's very simple, Eric. We can solve it in one shot. We don't do liability. You don't have to go to work. Nobody gets to do it.
There's
It's that
a good
simple.
point.
There will be no jobs, and we don't have to
for
face that
president.
anymore.
There's a happy
Ladies
medium.
and gentlemen, I apologize. I have to jump. I got some folks waiting for me on another one of these.
Oh, right when it gets
I
difficult.
scared Strickland
Michael.
off again.
No,
Right
no.
when it gets difficult, Michael leaves. Oh,
Thanks, Herrick.
God.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you to my friends in the press. Again, phenomenal job. We've got another couple of call to actions to go out, and it is working. And expect to hear from me again. I apologize for the long emails, but if I find out
They're all
something,
good. Keep them coming.
No,
Keep
they're-
them coming.
Hey, thank you for watching.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Uh-oh, Robert Ross leaving, and he didn't even get a chance to talk. Bye, Robert.
We didn't get a knee update.
We didn't get a knee update. Robert, before you leave,
Walking
give
around
us a
in
damn knee
circles.
update at least. Come on, man. I think he's gone already. So, yeah, Herrick, I mean, I totally don't disagree with you, except for the fact that, like, in my opinion, from my viewpoint, and mine's not the only one, there's 1,000 viewpoints, but I've actually been to Disney. They weren't behaving that badly when I was there. They were.
Disney. I'm talking about Disney film Disney. I'm not talking about.
Right. No, but you said Disney as a corporation behaves badly.
I'm talking about I'm talking big film producers. That's my.
Oh, now you're getting real specific.
No, it's true. It's true. It's 100% true.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so as an
there's
example,
there's always going to be money over safety in some situation where they
Correct.
put people in a bad place,
Which is
right?
why the word blanket liability is what concerns me. There needs to be, there's some
Yeah, but
nuance.
if that doesn't happen though, Herrick, the problem is, like what Patrick said, yeah, I mean, we're just not gonna, without it,
I don't believe
nobody's gonna go back to work, because as long as you leave the door open, you're gonna have douchebag lawyers with class action
due
lawsuits.
diligence. No,
I
people
started this pandemic in this exact situation.
You
I
did?
was being sent to a location. The hotel that I was checking into was shut down and put in a lockdown. And it was an untenable situation. And I went through the appropriate steps by going through the chain of command, through supervision, to alert them of the situation.
Correct.
In the end,
That's the best way to do it.
And in
By
the
far.
end, they were not really giving an acceptable answer. I was still told that, no, we're following through with this. And I took it upon myself to say, I'm very sorry, but I will not be taking part in this. I'm redirecting myself out of the country, as well as these other personnel members who have asthma and all the litany of things that made them very susceptible to the issue. And we just didn't do the job. It was that simple, because it was dangerous. And so the fact of the matter is, you can take COVID out of it, take any other unsafe or uncomfortable situation in a workplace, and if you're a union member, you go to your lead and say, hey, I got an issue, like as they always do. Usually it's, I got an issue with this fucking guy. He's not doing his work, as we all know. And what happens? The lead gets involved and we go through. And there have been times in the past when we've had guys that weren't satisfied by their lead's action, and they said, fuck you, and split. And they have a protection, or supposed to have a protection within their union, which is why they're a part of it, and not someone like me who has to just hang it out there and swing my dick about not going to the job. They at least have that protection,
Patrick.
or are supposed to have that protection, because that's why they're in a union.
Right, but this is the conversation that's going to happen nationally. So we'll see. But I'm just saying it's nuanced.
There's a potential for a shitstorm for sure.
Yeah,
there totally is.
There's not
Totally
going to
is.
be a perfect answer, and I understand where you're going too, Eric. Like you said, is there a happy medium? And I think on this particular topic, it's either an open door or a shut door. I don't know that you can partially open it without lawyers, because lawyers are douchebags, and I hope there's none on this particular call.
I'm married to one.
Trust me, I've had my fun with lawyers over the last 4 years, and lawyers you know, lawyers, all they care about is that they're getting fees, not that anything's right or wrong or that they're doing good or bad or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're just douchebags.
Our
So-
world is currently in the largest state of negotiation within any of our lifetimes. And the sayings to negotiations is no one leaves a negotiation happy. It's simply just that, a negotiation. There has got to be that middle ground, and we're going to accept that there are some things that we're really not going to like about this. You have a very valid point, Eric. I'm not arguing the sensitivity of that point, but it's the reality of if this, then that. It's a simple Boolean equation right now. It's not happening because of this. So we're not going to be able to have a conversation past that negotiation if we don't get there.
Well, that's the thing is I just don't want to give up. I know that everybody wants this liability, this blanket liability, and it's the easiest way to get us all back to work. But there needs to be a but maybe tagged onto the end of this so that we can come back to it when we're a little bit better and reassess and make it better for everybody, because it's giving away, it's opening the barn, it's opening the
Yeah, well, here in California, some of the venues that we've done a lot of work, and I haven't shared it with a lot of you guys. Here in California, what they're trying to do is in this liability thing that you sign when you go into a studio to do the gig, is they have the right to tell your insurance company that you sign this piece of paper to allow them to be exempt from it as well. Your personal health insurance that you went in and went, okay, I'm good. I'm here to work. So then if you get sick, they want to tell your health insurance company that you signed this piece of paper that said, yeah, I immune myself from actually getting care, and it's got to come out of your pocket. So here in California, we've had some very strict conversations with HR and clients, and of course their clients' lawyers. And it's been a little rough. It really has been.
Well, I mean, obviously coronavirus is something that has lawyers, you know, licking their chops right now. It's such a lawyer haven, this whole coronavirus thing. You know, I mean, lawyers and media are loving this right now. The rest of us, not so much. I think.
But just to let you know, we never signed that stuff with the clients, with the lawyers. We never have. And we've had the backing from our company in HR to make sure that we didn't have to do it. But I just got one today that was even worse. Just for the kids to go to school for college was even worse than the ones I saw for going on site.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no, you know, there's a potential for it not being perfect. I just think at the end of the day, you know, if Herrick, like you say, if someone takes advantage of this situation or whatever of like this sort of mass liability thing, then, you know, they're going to be torn apart in the media. They're going to be dragged through, and they'll probably end up in court still, because just because there's an indemnification, it doesn't mean you can't sue somebody. Right. It just makes it much more difficult.
Ski resorts still get sued for people falling off chairs, regardless of what you sign or imply when you buy a ticket. But there's going to be some growing pains, and my brothers and sisters in unions are going to be on the front line of that. It's not about the audience. The audience is going to go, and with a 10-day waiting period and stuff like that, their lawsuits are easily, you know, it's you know, they had 50 of us unloading trucks, and we were all standing right there, and 20 of us weren't wearing masks because the guy said, oh, masks don't matter, or whatever, you know, some stupid thing.
Yeah.
It's just be careful, and you can protect yourself, but this is a situation where the entire crew has to be protected.
Yeah, but I think that there's a responsibility there for those unions to educate their members and to say, hey, wear masks. You know, when you don't feel safe, raise your hand. Stay away from other people. Try and keep some distance.
I'm just saying as an example, because it drives me crazy too. You have a single person man lift genie that suddenly needs 3 people at the bottom of it to roll somebody around, when, you know, 15 years ago we were basically pulling ourselves along a grid on our own. but now it takes 4 people to do. And you get these people who are like, oh, well, you can do it with one person. Jimmy and Joe are going to go over and get coffee. Fine. We all know it's fine, more or less, until it's not. But that's
Hey, I have an update on this Snoop Dogg wine. So for some reason, it's making me drink more. And I'm not sure exactly why. I'm drinking a little bit more than I would with normal wine. I don't know.
It's the wine munchies.
Yeah, maybe I should read the ingredients. It's got CBD in it or something.
It's got to be CBD.
So Herrick, I am actually doing a fairly large event in New York City in September with a large number of local ones. So I will be able to report how that goes.
Sure.
We have a rule on this happy hour, Matt. You can't use general terms and all of this bullshit. You have to say, I'm doing a show with Beyonce in Central Park for 2,000 people, and it's got 40 local ones.
And how much it's going to make me too? Isn't that what the other
you got to
rule
tell
is?
us your wages.
Yeah,
and whether it's 1099 or W-2, because we can help you through that, of course.
Of course. No, it's actually a New York Fashion Week.
Oh, cool.
Oh, good luck.
Well, there's going to be like 3 press members and no guests.
Nobody there.
It's going to be nobody there. I don't have to listen to cameramen going, it's too dark or uncross your legs.
Great. Tell Joe Saint I said hi.
Hey, Chris. What's happening with LA Auto Show? Is that still on?
Well, we still think it's going on. We still think SEMA's trying to dig their feet in. I know that I've kept some pretty good news away from all of you for the last couple of weeks. Marcel kind of knew about it and a few others. As of Monday,
Chris is pregnant.
Well, besides that, as of Monday,
again,
we have gone back to 100% employment at 100% full salary at CT.
Hey, can I borrow some money?
In the lighting department, we did have to lay off 3 people. That probably should have happened.
Well, that's not
before.
100% then, is it?
Well,
that's like 99.96%.
It's so close, though. It's so close.
No, that's very good news, Chris.
We've been busy, and I've tried to keep it away. Not being the asshole to be able to say that we're seeing forward steps. Our management has kept us together. Our lighting department is doing very well. The Eliada show has dug their feet in, and unless Garcetti stops it, Eliada show should go. SEMA should go. Hopefully in Vegas, we're praying. We just moved into our 150,000 square foot warehouse this week in Las Vegas for the lighting department in Las Vegas. And we have been doing everything from the Emmys announcements last week. All of our virtual studios, including the 4 more that we're building this week, are completely booked for the next 3 months.
So it's basically all virtual events till now, though, right?
Correct. That's what we think until LA Auto Show or SEMA.
Yeah. So first of all, Chris, I would say that, number one, positive news is not braggy, is not something you should hold away from this group of people just because people are pissed off or angry or depressed or whatever it is. Good news is good news. I mean, to me, if I'm in a bad mood and you tell me good news or Eric tells me good news or Matt or whoever, I don't care who's got a gig. I'm just happy to hear people got gigs because that means things are trickling back in some sense. So, to me, positive news is positive news. Anyone on this call, bring it anytime you've got positive news. Absolutely. And is Ellen still here? I don't think she is. I don't see her.
Well, I hate to be the fly in the ointment, Chris, but unfortunately, SEMA just did cancel.
Did they today? Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. So I was going to mention about LDI, but I was hoping Ellen was still here. She was here earlier, I know, but I think she's gone.
Well, we have an announcement for NAM on next Monday.
So just tell us today then.
No, I can't tell you because I'm not allowed to, but there'll be an announcement on Monday about NAM.
Well, you're saying it with a half a smile on your face, so that means NAM's still going forward. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Happy to hear that.
I hope so.
And we can publish that Chris told us here.
I didn't say shit. Shut
Chris,
up.
You just did.
That's
you
what
just
I heard.
said.
What do you
I
supply
heard.
for
That's what
NAM?
everybody heard. There's
What's
some
that?
crafty witnesses
What do you
here.
supply for NAM?
I'll put it in the chat window for you guys. We won't tell you, but I'll.
Yeah, we do Gerard Cohen's booth, which used to be Martin, which used to be Trackman, that me and Marcel were connected with, and I've done it since he left Comar, I guess, right, Marcel?
Yeah,
I mean,
they're doing what
DJ stuff. Yeah, DJ
electronics.
stuff.
Yeah.
You don't do like any global stuff. You just do specific booths, right?
Correct. And CT, we do a lot of video and audio connections with some of the bigger companies, you know, as need, I guess.
Well,
yeah,
I had no idea, so that's cool.
But since I've been a member since, like, I don't know, I was 18, they seem to put me on those surveys, just like LDI, you know. But
so
Eric, you don't know nothing, right?
I have an interesting statistic. Truck stops in Georgia and Alabama, nobody wears masks.
Oh, I'm sure.
Saying. I'm just saying, like it's frightening. They don't wash hands when they go to the bathroom. They don't wear masks. It's just a bizarre thing.
Wait, you know? Back on the NAB thing, Eric, can you announce anything? Because I'm not allowed to.
I can announce that I don't know anything.
Yeah, you're saying the same thing I'm saying.
So I think everyone knows that LDI canceled, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that doesn't come as a massive surprise to me. We actually talked about it on here last week, that they probably should cancel, because even if they feel like they can go forward with the show, I think most manufacturers, and I'm not going to speak for you, Eric, and I don't know who else is on here for manufacturers, I guess Aaron, and maybe others, but I don't think anybody really wants to spend, you know, $250,000 or $500,000 on doing a trade show right now. So
I was surprised. I was surprised they didn't announce with that they were going to do something virtually, though.
Do you see any value in virtual trade?
Yeah, you can't do lighting virtual though, right?
Well, I actually just received a LinkedIn message from Vicky, and she asked me to do some panels virtually for LDI. So I don't know what.
Yeah, because I thought they were going to try and still do the educational part, or
I think that's what they're doing.
That might make sense. Yeah, that might make sense as far as the education side of it. But the trade show thing, like as far as an exhibition, I just don't see the virtual thing.
Yeah, we can't compare lights. We can't compare lights by video.
David Barber, do you know anything about Plaza, or maybe Loader? Do you know anything about Plaza? Is that also being canceled? David, you need to turn your mic on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, they canceled it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
They're really focused right now on the red alert thing that they're doing next week.
Yeah. Yeah, which is really incredible. It's
a big thing.
Yeah. So how big is that right now? Like, what can you tell us about this red alert thing, David?
I don't know how big it's going to be. They've got all this stuff going on. They're letting up buildings. They're doing a truck convoy across the country to highlight the problems of the industry. They're trying to organize. They have organized, I think, just about all the different constituencies in the same way that NAM has done here. And they're going to kind of take to the streets to make the argument, that the same argument we're making here, that the industry needs a specific kind of relief.
Yeah.
That's in
Steve Warren still here? Yeah, Steve, you're here.
It's really trying to put on a sort of stunt so that there's something for the journalists and the media to photograph. So they're going to be, I think there's up to 5,000 people have expressed an interest. They probably will get to that number. As they're going to take a boat, load that up with journalists. They're going to load on from South Bank and then sail down to the O2. And the idea is that as they go down the river, all of the different venues that are closed will then be lit in red. We had a sort of meeting this morning. It is gathering a lot of pace. I think there's a lot of support for it. I was really pleased because I got a group that I'm with, a group of venue owners who have also signed up a number of other buildings today. So, you know, that was sort of a win. I've been focusing on trying to get some more celebrity support. We've got Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, New Order came on today.
Wow.
So, but again, the artists are being a real pain. It's like nobody wants to be the first. You know, I've had knockbacks from some really significant, you know, some like headline DJs And people have, whatever, Carl Cox, he's like a great guy, really friendly, great to chat to, happy to get involved in things. And then comes back and says, well, the management are just really not happy about me doing this because of the social media backlash. And I saw some of it. Annie Lennox supported, she shared it on her page. The Cure shared it on their page. And some dick comes on to Annie Lennox and says, well, you rich rock stars, you're always the first people to go to government.
Yeah, that's the tough part, isn't it?
I mean, it just sort of stopped me in my tracks, because you're doing stuff and you're calling people, and suddenly it's just like, I want to find that guy and stab him. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but yeah, just the ignorance of it,
Steve, the Light It Red thing, is it all totally like independent venues, independent lighting, or is it like centrally controlled from one massive Ava Lights console somewhere? Or like, is it coordinated or is it totally separate?
Manual control. Please set the fixtures and some red gel.
Oh no. Marcel, it's all been done. No, it's sort of piecemeal, but that's sort of good, that people are getting involved in sorting out their own stuff. But today, when these other venues came on board and the owners are like, yeah, Steve, we'll get involved. Yeah, we'd love to. Fantastic, And he was adding venue after venue after venue. And I'm thinking, shit, where am I going to get all these lights? I've got 4 days.
Yeah.
Crews but if you put stuff on Facebook, some of the freelancers I'm sure will jump in, some of the rental companies will jump in, but it all needs handling, so it's like, but we're a lastminute.com industry, so I'm sure we'll pull it off. And what's really exciting is the fact that next Tuesday we're going to be seeing like 5,000 of us, between here and the O2, and a lot of them will know. So I think a lot of us are looking forward to the opportunity just to get together as well.
Yeah.
Press, I think they will get they've got, I say, 35 of us on the Plaza Zoom calls in the morning, and really, significant people all really want to push things forward.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
Exciting times.
So someone on new this week is Stephen Vitale, and you were brought up a few times by Strickland as being, sort of a key player and someone who's getting very involved. So enlighten us on what's going on in the fireworks / pyro world, and you've obviously, again, you've been an activist, I guess, for our industry. So,
well, thanks, Marcel. It's been quite of a journey. I sit on the board of the American Pyrotechnic Association, and which represents all of the pyro suppliers that supply live events, as well as mostly, firework companies that produce shows. And, it's been devastating. Most of the companies are multi-generation small businesses. And what really hurt is companies' revenues typically 70% or greater revolve around the 4th of July. And, with public gatherings, we had a bright spot. We still did, 100 and so shows, but with the increases in, increases in cases around the country, we're seeing cancellations, on a daily basis. So it's pretty tough out there, but, we keep fighting. A lot of my time has been spent, with doing the things that Michael has done, fighting for the entire industry, because we're all interconnected in any which way. And we still have a few days to fight, and I think there's still 25 states that have only one senator that has signed on to restart. And I think this industry is really a poster child for restart if we can get it passed. And I don't think this will be. I don't believe a lot of the legislators believe that this will be the last bill for industries that have been so adversely affected by COVID. So if you've already reached out to people, I would, and they've signed on to restart, I would thank them. I would treat them like a customer, and because I think we're going to have to go back, and they certainly understand that, life in our world might not get back to normal until the first or second quarter of next year. So I appreciate everyone's effort, and every phone call, every letter really does matter.
Yeah, no, likewise, we appreciate what you're doing. And You know, I just had somebody on this call send me a text and say, you know, Strickland is an angel. And the thing is, you know, Michael Strickland, you, others are spending countless hours of your time. You're not getting paid. You're not paid lobbyists. And, you know, Patrick, when he's working on this, he's not a paid lobbyist. I'm not a paid lobbyist, but, you know, we're doing these things because this is the industry we want to work in. And if we want to save it, if we want to be able to work soon and make a living doing this, we're going to have to keep digging and doing the things that we're doing. So
Absolutely.
Steve,
We're
Warren, of course.
we're incredibly important to this country, and people need to hear about it. And, you know, what we found early on is not a lot of people knew that we were so, you know, people just think shows happen.
Yeah.
And that there aren't real people.
Well, until you take it away, until all of us go away and you know, they go to a park to see a band and there's no lights and no sound and they're playing acoustic guitars and going, can you hear me out there? Right. You know, and I mean, you know, until you take it all away, they don't really realize what it is we do, I guess. So yeah, it's a very good point. Does anyone else have anything fun to say?
Marcel, I would throw in one point that, you know, I think it's really interesting the way that you've put this group together and the benefits of getting everyone's collective sort of views. And that's why I wanted to get yourself, Patrick Dearson, and Michael onto that Plaza call. And they now have a similarly large group, you know, 35 people. And I think it's just really helpful. And I think it's, you know, I always feel quite inspired, you know, when Michael sort of speaks, and I think, damn, you know, it puts fire back in your belly.
Maybe once a month or once every couple weeks or something, we should try and put the Plaza group and our group together and have, you know, 100 people instead of 50 on one side and 50 on the other side or whatever.
I'd love to be on that Plaza call from the old days.
Hey, I'd love to pull that together. Yeah.
Yeah, no, maybe,
you know, the industry,
even if we just do it once.
International, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah,
of course it is.
And of course, y'all know that Mesa got canceled too, right? Music Mesa.
I had for next year.
Yeah, for
February,
right?
Or March or whatever.
Oh, that's really far away.
Yeah, it got canceled today too, as well. I heard.
April.
To me, wow.
That's
Either way, I'm all for more accents in this group, so let's bring them in.
Yeah.
No, it's important too, because, you know, at the end of the day, obviously when we have Michael talking about a very focused U.S. government workings and how to navigate that in the political system. I mean, I think it was very helpful to be on that call, Steve. I think with the bi-directional information of how to navigate both of our government structures and how to do that, and with a ton of similarities to it. There really is not, you know, there's not that much difference. There's just a few nuances, but it's still, you know, making noise and really getting everybody to rise up and collectively make that noise.
I mean, it's very true.
It feels like there are two different things happening, and it feels like if we come together, we can help each other out. You know,
well, I'm drinking Snoop Dogg wine, and it feels like there's a lot of different things happening. I'm just saying, like more than two, at least seven. There's at least 7 things happening for me right now.
No, but I mean, I don't want cannabis infused.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell is in Snoop Dogg's wine, but I feel like I'm drunk and I haven't drank that much. So
I just think events like the Light It Up are cool, and I mean, we don't do it. You know, it would be great if we could light up buildings in the United, or light up landmarks all across.
So start pulling it together, Matt. I mean,
that's what it is.
No, I'm not joking. I'm not being silly by saying that. I'm saying someone needs to take leadership roles to do those things, and someone needs to stand up and say, "Hey, I want to create this movement where we're going to light up buildings in red or blue or green or purple or whatever the hell color we want to light those buildings," and just start calling every lighting company and saying, on September 15th, I want to light at least 5 buildings in every city in this particular color. I mean, and it's going to make the news, and it's going to do all these things.
And Steve Warren for sure reach out to CT London. we'd be more than happy to help with you. You know that. And if you can use my name as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we did something obviously similar with Vegas, where we had all of the casino and resort properties were, spelling out things on the side of the buildings with the lights in the windows or creating hearts. And, there was definitely an awareness and publicity generated through doing that. And
speaking of Vegas, Patrick, have you or Andrew or anyone else who's in Vegas, Mark, seen this news stuff about Jay Owen House, a magician who's opening a show across the street from Mandalay Bay? So this guy's a friend of mine.
Discuss that? The
25
Tiger
years.
He was getting the Tiger press, right?
I
think we spoke about it a few weeks ago.
I talked to him yesterday. The show's going forward. It opens, I think he said, in October. And so I forgot that we already talked about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because we're going to end the pandemic the way we started it, with a Tiger controversy.
Oh, right. I remember that now. Of course. My bad. So one other thing that I wanted to ask is, Craig Caserta, you haven't been here in a few weeks because you've been very busy building a treehouse. And
He's had a couple
so how
other
is
things
that going? I mean, how are the rentals? Like, I know you've got an Airbnb thing going on there, and is that working out okay?
The treehouse is done, and the good news is television has started back up again, so I've been working.
Oh, good.
I'm actually in New York right now. They started loading in on Monday for a game show for $100,000 Pyramid going into season 5.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
And I just left LA from doing Card Shark season 2.
Damn, that's cool.
You have to.
Well, it's a good thing you're working. Otherwise, you'd have condos on this treehouse by now.
Trust me, I have so many plans that I want to do, and the 200-foot zip line just got delivered at my house, and I'm not there.
Oh my God!
So,
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, but you also got to put the Legos up there, Craig. You also got to put the Lego city. Come on.
That thing is outrageous. I mean, you're definitely the dad of the year for that treehouse. That's unreal what you did there.
To check your permits for what you did there.
It's Vegas. Nobody cares. It's Vegas. Nobody cares.
There's the loophole in the HOA that says if it's in the backyard and you can't see it from the street, you don't need a permit for it. So that's the loophole.
Yeah. Even if it's got air conditioning and lighting and electric and cable
and air conditioning and a television and LED lighting.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's
incredible.
There, though.
I was following that like every day, going, "Oh my God, what is this guy doing?" It's so unreal.
It's so fun. It was a good job. Good job, Craig.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's a good job.
Very simple. Of hey, let's go build a treehouse. Next thing you know, I'm renting a U-Haul truck to put beans in it.
What we do.
Yeah.
What we do. We're in the industry of over-engineering, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the wife still hasn't really gotten over it yet. She's still about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick hasn't called you to come over as like his doghouse or anything. Is that Patrick Dearson's doghouse?
I was waiting for the air conditioner to go in. I touched that with a 10-foot cattle prod until the AC was working.
The AC is in now, and it's a Wi-Fi AC, so we can actually turn it on in the house. Long before we go in.
Oh, so there's Wi-Fi there? I'll be over in about an hour.
Of course.
Gone too long. Patrick's put up targets 100 yards away from everything around the tree.
Yeah,
I got the high ground up there.
If it's got Wi-Fi in it, Feto will be over there pretty soon too, because God knows he doesn't have any.
It's probably better in his treehouse than my carriage house. So,
the Patrick Dearson deer stand.
Yeah. And hopefully, Craig, hopefully I'll see you at Center Staging in a few weeks as well, as that stuff gets worked out.
Yeah.
One of the unfortunate things we heard this week, I think it came out yesterday in Vegas, was the Station Casino properties put out in their earnings report that the 3 of their properties will probably not be opening up back again after this. One of which is the Palms Casino. That's going to be pretty interesting.
Oh, the Palms turned into a station?
Yeah, because it's technically absorbed through, I think, Red Rock, because Station's part of Red Rock, and
That's too bad.
Fertitas did all of that. So.
And they canceled SEMA today too.
Yeah.
We heard about that one.
Yeah, and Patrick, I'm gonna go out to Vegas. They're already moving in to the new office down there by the Raiders facility.
Bring your bike.
Well, RL wants to come too, and so does Bob.
Let's shoot some stuff.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's the same time.
Totally.
So
That'd be
just to
great.
give you a warning, I'll let you know.
So you're moving down to CT's moving from what is it, Windy Lane or whatever it is?
No, we're off of Eastern. We're off of Eastern on the east side of the airport.
Yeah, you're right by. Yeah.
So now we're moving by the Henderson Executive Airport,
Right.
next door to the Raiders.
Yeah, you're right next to the.
Yeah,
Okay.
Raider Way is my new card. Is Raider Way? Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
House.
That's really unfortunate, but okay.
Hey, Chargers can kiss my ass. I'm a Raider fan now.
Hi, Herrick.
Why couldn't we get the Chargers?
Screw the Chargers. I know the owners. Screw 'em.
Does anyone else have anything to share, discuss, promote, bitch about, communicate, anything?
I mean, I hear you're, pissing people off selling gear on Facebook, someone's complaining about you.
Me?
Yeah.
What did I do?
I don't
Really?
know. I defended you. It was in one of the groups.
Oh. You
You started
just
a
can't
company.
make everybody happy, can you?
No.
I mean, it's you could be Mother Teresa and somebody on Facebook is going to say, you've got a bad haircut, or you dress funny, or your skin's too brown, or whatever it is. I mean, it's impossible. I try so hard to make everybody happy, but social media is not always my friend.
I have a question. Does anybody off the top of their head know what the current rules are for Massachusetts? I heard that they've got very strict limitations about coming in. They're only allowed
14 days. What Ian Dobson is telling me, you got to quarantine for 14 days to come in. But the stipulation is he's coming to Vegas next week for our move. So if he gets a test on the way in, he doesn't have to do the quarantine.
Well,
But-
the other thing is if you drive in, nobody knows.
Yeah,
So,
but
That's not
my
true.
Yeah, that's
Well,
not true.
so
You
it's
set up
not
roadblocks.
true.
It is true. It is true.
Hold
They
on.
are
Hold
pulling
on.
people
Sir,
over.
give me 1 second. So I'm dealing with the production right now, and sure, there are circumventing ways to get into and out of.
yeah, trains, whatever.
That
Yeah.
does not change my client's legal liability, which is
Oh, of
our
course.
bigger issue in terms of compliance. And that's why I'm asking, because that is our biggest
Yeah.
issue. And when you are playing by the rules and ensuring that a massive global corporation will not have the pantsuit off of it, someone gets sick right
So-
now because of lack of
No,
indemnity.
that matters.
So what I'll
We
tell you,
can't play
Patrick,
that game.
what I'll tell you, Patrick, is Ian is flying to Vegas. So for him to return from Vegas, he's supposed to do a 14-day quarantine, obviously, checked and all that kind of good stuff. But on that first day, if they get the test, which we need to pay for from CT, to do the private, not state or government run. So if he gets cleared, he's good.
And does he do that before he gets on the plane to?
No,
to
it
fly
has
in?
to
He
be
has
when he lands.
When he lands. Okay.
Yeah. So
And
you
is
have
that,
that.
are they
It's
doing that at
12-hour
the airport, or is it he have to go to a
12-hour
private
window? 12-hour window.
And
when he lands.
Okay, when he lands, does he have to go to a private doctor to do that, or is that something done at the airport before he's?
No, he has to go to a private. You need to set up your appointment to where your 12-hour window when you land,
Mhm.
and get it done, and then if it's clear, because they're supposed to give you instant from private, semi-instant, an hour, 2 hours,
Yeah.
and then you're clear.
That's really good to know.
Or Patrick, you can hire somebody in New York who won't be quarantined.
I believe that
there
this
you go.
is that don't think we haven't thought of this, and this is the part of the contingency of figuring this out. And I don't believe New York is allowed to go up there. And that's why I ask. Yeah,
No,
we're,
you can. You can. Yeah,
you can.
Yeah, because it's based on the infection rate of each state.
Yeah.
So like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts all have similar rules. There's currently, I think, 35 states that you cannot go into without going into
Yeah.
from, not do a quarantine.
Yeah, and we couldn't send Ian through New York to train up back, or we couldn't send him through Connecticut to Uber it back home to Boston. We couldn't,
Okay.
we tried everything, but that seemed to be we just need to pay for him to get the test within 12 hours when he lands and get that approved right away. And then he doesn't have to do the 14 days.
All right.
Matt, I'm
now
So we just look into it more because we were
today,
told that there were only 3
they're
states
gonna-
that were allowing that. So
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
information's
Well,
outdated.
Patrick, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, we're all in like this little pact that we are allowing as long as the infection rate is, I think.
Yeah, you
doesn't
have
go
been since
above, like,
1776.
Actually,
By the
Rhode
way,
Island's out of that
none of
now.
you are allowed back in Florida now, by the way. I'm just setting that rule right now.
We don't
All
want
of you in that pact, you're not allowed in Florida.
I will tell you
And it's
though,
November and it's minus 200
Just like
degrees
that,
for
the
you,
Canadian
and you're all
brought back the
complaining.
Mason-Dixon line.
Exactly.
There is an amazing
Exactly.
amount
We don't
of
want you down
Florida-
here.
There's an amazing amount of Florida license plates here in New York right now. It's
Well,
kinda
and
scary.
guess
It
what?
happened
There's
since
an
the
amazing amount of New
70s.
York license plates here in Florida.
Yeah, the only reason there are Florida license plates in New York is because everybody registers their damn car insurance with their grandmother in Boca.
Yeah.
So New York announced today they're going to do checkpoints at all the bridges, the train stations.
Yeah. I had
Well,
heard that.
I mean, all I know is all my friends in racing have been going back and forth out of New York to, and driving. They're driving back and forth, and they're driving so that they can do this because flying they can't.
Right.
So I don't know.
They announced this
haven't been
today.
caught.
Yeah, they just
today.
announced it today.
Yeah,
Today, they announced it today. 20%
That
of
limits our
infections are coming
competition.
from out of state.
Yeah.
No one that checked it
Right.
though. 14 days, there was no check-in or anything for New York coming in.
Does anyone other than me think that the government are completely fucking retarded and we should probably just be using common sense and not
No,
listening
but-
to most of them?
No, but listen to Craig. He just
Saying.
got to New York. You didn't do your 14 days without phone calls every 3 hours?
Oh, I did my 14 days, and I actually did my 14 days quarantine because I didn't want to risk anything. But there was no check, no phone call. No
Oh,
text.
really?
Fill out a form, Craig.
At 8 p.m. on the 13th day, I got an automated phone call that said, "Hey, we see you came to New York. Please do a 14-day quarantine." On the 13th day at 8 p.m.
Oh,
Craig, did you fill out a form at the airport?
Yeah, you could do it either online, and then when you get off the plane, they ask you that you just need to show your the little check mark response that they send you.
verification, yeah.
Verification, or you could fill out the form. You could fill it out a paper form, and there's a dude sitting at a table, a fold-out table with a cardboard box with a slot in it. And as you walk by, he says, "Yeah, just fold it up and put it in the box." So like you could write, whatever you want. Eat a bag, go fuck yourself, fold it up, put it in the box. They're not.
So let me ask you, Craig, did the hotel didn't call you every day?
No, I'm in an Airbnb.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, because Cuomo was saying if you don't, it's a $2,000 fine.
Yeah.
$10,000 fine and/or 15 days in jail.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That gives you your quarantine right there, 15 days.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't
You
want
can't
to
finish the treehouse if you're in jail. So
Yeah.
Craig, can I ask you, and if you don't want to answer this, by all means, because I'm just curious, did production compensate for the time of quarantine, or did you take that on yourself to do the project?
Production paid in full, my full day rate for all of quarantine and for the Airbnb for the entire run of the show.
That's pretty awesome.
That's the next thing where
That don't
entertaining.
suck.
But let me
That's
ask
pretty
you,
cool.
is Josh getting compensated? Because I know he's not able
Josh is
to.
in LA. Josh
Yeah.
is in LA. Josh isn't here.
So that's an expense that they're probably saving on.
Good. Well, no, because Josh is still getting paid as the designer.
Cool.
So yeah, and we hired another programmer to take
See,
my
Patrick.
so that I could take Josh's seat.
Yeah.
So money wise, they're not saving any money by Josh being in LA doing the show out there, except that they didn't have to pay him for an extra 2 weeks of quarantine.
Yeah, so we've seen the same thing, that we don't know whether it's worth it to send them ahead with the quarantine, try and get the test, to try and get past the quarantine. There's been a lot of dilemmas with our HR in the same thing that Craig's going through as well.
Yeah,
Which I don't think New York will allow anyway. but
No, New
you know,
York.
some
no.
will.
I came here straight from a job in LA that we were getting tested every week, and so I had the past month's worth of
Testing to prove, right?
Yeah, for the past month.
Yeah.
It still didn't mean anything. I still had to do the 14-day quarantine and then, you know, start testing 3 times a week on this show.
Well, I have to go. So
No.
everyone be safe.
No.
Be happy. Be good. Behave. By the way, I'm actually interviewing Patrick and Andrew Gumper tomorrow on
You are?
Pieces of Gear, talking about your pivot.
Awesome.
So that
Awesome.
ought to be fun.
Thanks for the reminder. I forgot about that.
We're going to sell some hospitals tomorrow.
I bought a
That's
new
what we're gonna
microphone
do.
just for you.
Craig.
Yeah.
Craig, good luck. Good luck, Craig.
Thanks, man.
Patrick, I'll
Craig,
talk to
be
you
good
soon.
out there, man.
I'll talk to you
All right,
soon.
everyone. I'll see you next week.